If you'd like to check out Lucy's initial interview, I will link that in the description box below. Now that she's completed the program, she is thoroughly enthusiastic to share with my viewers her long, hard journey of transitioning to a plant-based diet and all of the wonderful things that she's accomplished along the way. Lucy, do you mind introducing yourself?
I'm Lucy. I'm 59 years old. I'll be turning 60 in June, so it's kind of a big thing for me to lose this weight. I live in Texas. I have 2 grown children and an identical twin sister. We've been through this plant-based journey together, thanks to her.
Oh, that's wonderful. I would love to have a sister as my best friend. You're so lucky. So, could you tell us, what did you eat prior to going plant-based? Like, what did your sad diet look like?
Oh, gosh. A lot of chicken, a lot of fish, pasta, a lot of pizza. I was a pizza queen. Any kind of, macaroni and cheese, anything cheesy, carby. I did eat vegetables, but not like I do now. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, there's not a lot that I don't like to eat. So anything was pretty fair game. But it was not very healthy. It was typical sad diet, more fast food back then. Now I very rarely go out to eat. And when I do my research and find something good that I can have.
So what do you feel was the primary motivation behind making the plant-based transition?
Definitely health. My sister went through breast cancer, and her oncologist had recommended watching Forks Over Knives. And I said I would do that, but was very reluctant to make those kind of dietary changes. We were already on a low-sodium diet. And watched the video, by the documentary. By the end of it, I was totally motivated to try a plant-based diet, both for cancer purposes and for heart disease.
Can we discuss some of the heart issues that you've had to experience given your old lifestyle?
Well, let me preface this by saying when I was 32 years old, my mother passed away from a massive heart attack that was very unexpected. She was always in pretty good shape. And fast forward to 2014, I went into the hospital for 6 months and diagnosed with congestive heart failure. Later found out that it was genetic. My sister also was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. We had assumed that it was due to her chemo treatment when she had breast cancer, but it turns out she has the gene too. And in watching Forks Over Knives and seeing how you can reverse some of the effects of heart disease just by eating a plant-based diet, that was tremendous. And my attitude is I don't understand everything, but what can it hurt to try this? And I think that has been instrumental in the improvement of my health from being diagnosed. Since starting plant-based, and it was difficult. It was the animal products, the meat and stuff, that was easy. It was the dairy that was the hardest. But I don't even think about that anymore. It's something that in a past life. And but I've been able, since starting plant-based, I was able to get off my cholesterol medicine. I had kind of some nerve pain in my feet that I was very dependent on the pain medicine. I was able to get off that. I've also had a reduction in my current heart maintenance medication, and most recently was able to come off of a diuretic, which was necessary in order to keep the extra fluid out of my body so I could breathe and so I could move, and because that's one of the, I guess, the worst indications of the heart disease is that as your heart stops functioning correctly, fluid builds up in your body and it makes your organs work harder, you can't breathe, and so that was a really big thing to be able to come off that diuretic medicine because I was no longer retaining the fluid like I had been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you mentioned that you actually suffered from a stroke and you were using a cane at one point, and now you have a defibrillator?
Yes, yes. I have a defibrillator that helps regulate my heartbeat and gives me a zap if necessary, and it's gone off twice. But thank God for that, because that means I'm still here. And I had a stroke. Fortunately, I didn't have a lot of after effects from that, but it's still very scary because now I'm more susceptible to strokes. But I think eating the plant-based diet, I feel so much more confident that I'm going to have a good quality of life. My sister had a heart transplant in 2020. There was a good chance I was going to need one also, but I think at this point I'm in really good shape. I'm not even going to need to get on the heart transplant list, but in losing the weight, I'm better qualified. If something happens at the last, unexpectedly, and I have to go on the heart transplant list, because I'm at a lower weight, a lower BMI, I'll have no problem getting approved. And that was an issue as of last year, is that I had to lose weight in order to be eligible for the heart transplant list.
I guess my hope for you is that one day you won't even need to be on that list. Is that a possibility?
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, very much so.
I don't know how to tease out the genetic component and the lifestyle component. You know what I mean? So you are thinking that if you continue this lifestyle, eventually you'll get to a point where you no longer have to have these heart complications and you can kind of go back to a new norm.
Right. That's my goal. I don't want to have a heart transplant if I don't have to.
Right, of course.
But right now, like I said, I feel great. I feel normal. I feel like I can, do anything. I don't have any limitations.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. If you find yourself struggling with this transition or losing those excess pounds, make sure you click my link in the description box below and schedule a free 45-minute consultation with me so we can get started on your health journey. So what does a typical day's worth of meals look like now?
Now, it usually starts with vegetables. That's something that I never thought I would say. But I usually have vegetables, maybe some kind of beans or whole grains. Occasionally I'll have like whole grains and fruit. Lunch is always a huge salad packed with beans and all kinds of fresh vegetables and a balsamic dressing. And dinner, which is, some days I don't feel hungry enough to eat dinner, but on the days that I do, it's usually some kind of bean vegetable soup. And different beans, different vegetables.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Lucy's actually been journaling all of her meals throughout this entire 90-day process. So congratulations for that in and of itself. But on top of that, I've been able to pinpoint exactly what areas of her diet need to be tweaked a little bit and what areas we could improve upon and what's working, what's not working. But her meals are so elaborate and they vary from day to day. She's very much involved in the process, from the veggies, the fruits, the nuts, the seeds, legumes, and whole grains. Not focusing much on nuts and seeds at this point because she is still in a weight loss phase. But she's hoping to reincorporate those at some point because they are very healthful foods. So are you enjoying these foods? Are you finding yourself constantly feeling restricted? Like, are you satisfied? Are you wishing that you could eat more of your old style of foods? Where are you on that spectrum?
I eat an abundance of food, and I think that's one of the things that I love about plant-based eating is it's not rabbit food. It's not, there are times, well, first of all, I pretty much stopped all snacking, and I was a grazer before I started with you. I would graze all day, and especially at night. And I have cut out all snacking, not because, of restricting. It's just that I'm not hungry. I don't need to eat anything. If I do, I'll get fruit. And sometimes I don't even have enough hours in the day to get extra eating in. I try to eat dinner by 5 o'clock, but because I'm fortunate I get to work from home, so I have a little bit of leeway with that. And sometimes I'm hungry enough for dinner. Sometimes I'll just have some oranges or some broccoli or, just something fairly light because I'm not hungry enough for an entire meal. My salad at lunch really fills me up. And I just love that because I'm always looking for what can I put in it this time. There's just so many. I can put fruit in it. I can put steamed vegetables in it. There's always going to be some kind of bean or a whole grain to keep me full. And it takes me a while to eat it because it's I eat with my eyes a lot in that I have to see that I'm getting an abundance of food. In pretty much every meal, when you throw in all the vegetables, there's an abundance. The other morning, I don't think I shared this with you, but the other morning I was eating my vegetables and beans, and I actually stopped halfway through because I thought, I'm full. And that was something else that I've never, very seldom ever experienced. Back when I was eating sad food, I could eat an entire medium-sized pizza and not feel full. My sensors or whatever it is internally would not work. I wouldn't feel hungry and I wouldn't feel full. And since switching to a plant-based, I feel both those things. I have learned to find out what does it feel like to be hungry. And if there are times that I want to eat something, just, chew something, I'll ask myself, are you really hungry? Drink some water, see what happens. And if I'm not hungry, then, I just find something else to distract me. But feeling full, that's another thing that I'm finally starting to feel full. And I don't like that feeling when I'm full because it's like, oh, I'm just not like Thanksgiving dinner miserable. But if I eat too much, I feel that pressure. And that's something I haven't felt in a long time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So what new health improvements have you achieved during the past 6 weeks?
My sleep continues to be fantastic. I had bouts of insomnia before. I could fall asleep fairly easy, but not stay asleep. So my sleep has greatly improved.
And your sleep apnea has improved, right?
Yes.
She doesn't even use her CPAP machine.
Yes, and I think the exercise is helping with that too, with the sleep. Moving more, getting more exercise in, getting off unnecessary medication, or having it reduced, buying smaller clothing. that was big. I had a lot of clothes in my closet that I didn't fit into, and I wasn't ready to get rid of them yet, and was able to go back through and get a new wardrobe from it. So I'm very excited about that.
Aww. Just
feeling better, and I enjoy the compliments from people that I haven't seen in a while that wow, you've lost a lot of weight. I can really see it in your face, or just seeing some of the physical changes. I think I mentioned before that I can tell that my necklace sits a lot lower on my chest, and that's a good thing.
So in total, Lucy has lost 20 pounds during the last 90 days. Yay, Lucy!
Yay!
She only has 10 more to go before she reaches her goal for her Atlantic cruise that's coming up for her birthday. So let's all cheer her on for that. We already mentioned that she has gotten off several medications during this process. Her diabetic medication, her diuretic, as well as her cholesterol lowering med. That in and of itself is a giant feat, and I'm very, very impressed with all of your progress and your tenacity and your perseverance to keep going, because this is not an easy process, as I'm sure you've acknowledged. She also no longer mimics her old style of eating, so that was a huge, huge, huge problem to overcome in the beginning. And so many people I work with have this tendency to try to mimic their old foods and their old favorites with these new plant-based versions. But that's just never going to really work out in real life if you are serious about your weight loss and if you have some major health implications involved in the weight that you have put on. It's important to look at this and completely shift your paradigm in a way that creates a new style of eating, as opposed to, oh, I'm just adjusting these foods for those foods. No, instead of eating plant-based mac and cheese and pizzas and such, you're eating stir fries and salads and soups and all of those wonderful ways you can assemble a plant-based meal that doesn't involve a bunch of sauces and, ways to make it taste the way that it used to taste. We're not striving to recreate something. We're striving to create something brand new. And I think she has embraced that wonderfully. So Lucy also used to be incredibly sedentary. She would spend the majority of her day sitting during work, and then she would go home and sit the rest of the night, usually in front of the television. But now she has a standing desk. She's strength training. She's on her stepper all the time. She's walking outdoors, getting some sunshine, and improving that social connectivity. She has made so many leaps and bounds, and this is where the results come in.
And actually, I've been around over the past 6 months or whatever. I was around 2 people that tested positive the next day for COVID. I never got it. And I credit plant-based eating for keeping me healthy. Because I do have several comorbidities and I've been fine.
Yeah, that's a huge perk, right? Mm-hmm. What would you say are the major challenges that you've taken on since trying to incorporate this new lifestyle?
Getting off caffeine was scary because I've had 2 cups of coffee for the past 40 years. And so when you said be best to, get off caffeine and alcohol, I would have an occasional glass of wine or, social drinking. I thought anything is possible for 3 months. Can do anything. And once I found the herbal coffee or herbal tea, I was fine with that. Unfortunately, I didn't have any of the side effects of getting off caffeine. I was able just to make a clean transition. Salt, I was kind of heavy-handed with the salt products prior to starting with you. And I have, my taste buds have changed. I can eat some celery and I can taste the salt in it, where before I couldn't do that. And just using all the spices in my foods, and that's really helped tremendously. The other change is getting off sweetener. The herbal tea is much smoother than coffee. It doesn't have that bitter taste. So it was a lot easier to learn to drink that without the sweetener. I don't think I could do that with coffee. And trying to incorporate more vegetables. I ate a lot of vegetables before, but it was just really increasing those non-starchy vegetables in any way I could.
How have you been able to navigate the social aspects of this lifestyle, given that our society is completely opposite what we're trying to implement?
My coworkers are used to me knowing that I'm plant-based, and during my time with you twice, I went out to a restaurant with my coworkers, and I was able to go online, look at the menu, and find something safe. The restaurant that we went to both times was like a New York deli type place. They didn't have a whole lot of stuff, but I could get a big garden salad. And I brought some balsamic vinegar with me and a Ziploc bag full of beans, additional vegetables, everything that probably would not be, because restaurant salads are pretty basic. And so when it came time to eat, everybody had their meals, and they looked good, but that's not something that I would want to eat anymore. And so I pulled out my Ziploc bag and dumped all my extra goodies in my salad, and they kind of got tickled at me, but they know, they know this is the way I eat now. And so they were very supportive. They didn't give me a hard time. And, even if someone would give me a hard time, I think I'm confident enough that, it's not going to bother me. It's not going to shame me. It's not going to prevent me from sticking to the plan.
Good for you, because so many people will actually falter under that social pressure. So I'm really glad you found your voice. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your strategies around your recent family vacation?
We had a family get together in Galveston at my brother's bay house, and we usually kind of plan out our meals, and we'll have a hot meal for dinner and then maybe breakfast, and then everything else is just kind of you're on your own to eat. Well, I purchased a Yeti type cooler that I knew would keep food cold for several days, and so I just packed up all my plant-based food and took it there, and so I wouldn't be using up a lot of space in the refrigerator. And it was nice just to, I already had salad cut up. I had all the fixings for the salad. My sister and I, we were responsible for one meal, so we had a potato bar. So we had the sad type products, the cheese and the sour cream and pulled pork for whoever wanted it. And we were able to make our potatoes with balsamic, bunch of vegetables, steamed vegetables. And, it's just planning ahead, having that there. Brought a bunch of fruit. And the best thing about plant-based eating is you prepare items and you just throw it all together. You can have oatmeal and fruit, or oatmeal and vegetables, or throw fruit in your salad, have potato with vegetables on it. And I mean, it's just mix and match. That's the best thing about it. And so I was able to stay mostly compliant while there. So, and it was nice because I knew I could still have fun with family, eat with family, but still stay pretty much on target.
Yeah, I had no idea that you could get a cooler that stays cold for days on end. That is amazing, and I'm definitely going to get one in my very near future. Having to load up somebody else's fridge full of food is, not always ideal. And being on vacation, you don't want to add stress to the situation, obviously, because you're there to de-stress. So I'm really impressed that you were able to bring all your meals in a cooler. But she also touched on the fact that this diet is so simple. You're just assembling different categories of plant-based food. The vegetables, the fruits, the grains, the potatoes, all those different things that you just combine, as opposed to taking some elaborate recipe with all these different seasonings and all these different prep times. And it doesn't have to be that complicated. It can be super, super simple. A sweet potato and some steamed broccoli is a fantastic meal. Like, you don't have to make this so complicated that you don't do it, because the more overwhelmed we feel in the process, the less likely we are going to, actually follow through with our intentions. So make this simple. Don't allow some ideal to take you off your true motivation and your true goals behind wanting to do this diet in the first place. Allow yourself that grace to just kind of fumble along the way and come up with different strategies that work for you. Who cares if they seem a little weird or off, the social norm? Lucy and I typically eat 2 meals a day, which is very, very odd for most people when they hear it. But you don't have to follow these social norms that have been instilled in us from, elementary school on. You can create your own lifestyle. It can be as simple or as complicated as you want it to be. So I'm glad you found your path.
Yes, and I used to be a clock eater. I would eat first thing in the morning when I got up, I would eat at lunch, and then I would eat at dinner. And it didn't matter whether I was hungry or not. Now, with the time restricted eating, I'm not eating till 9:30, 10 o'clock. And so I get up, I exercise, and that was when I would usually eat breakfast. So that was kind of difficult, but now I do a lot of my food prep during that time before it's time to get on the computer for work. So I'm busy, I'm distracted, and, I get on the computer with work, and so then I think, oh, wow, I need to eat. It's getting, I'm getting hungry now. And just waiting a little later for lunch, and then just the volume of the salad. Maybe I'll eat dinner, maybe I won't. And I can remember you telling me that you eat 2 meals a day at the beginning of the program, and I was thinking, oh, there's no way I can do that. Well, I'm doing it.
That's amazing. I'm so
Anything
glad.
is possible.
Yeah, absolutely. What advice would you give to somebody aspiring to implement this diet and these healthy lifestyle behaviors?
First and foremost, be open-minded, because what's the worst that can happen? You get healthy and lose weight. What's the best that can happen? You get healthy and you lose weight. I mean, it's a win-win regardless. And just from the plant-based scientific community, the proof behind this way of eating is just amazing. And anything, I never thought I'd be eating vegetables for breakfast. I never thought I'd be eating two meals a day some days. I never thought that I'd cut out my snacking. And some of this stuff is just from the 3 months I've been working with you. I never thought I'd lose this much weight. I thought I was kind of maxed out where I was. And, I'm going to continue eating this way in order to get the rest of the weight off. And so far, I haven't been this weight in 20 years. And it's wonderful. It's so exciting, and it motivates me to keep going. But definitely try it, because what have you got to lose?
Oh, I'm so excited for you.
Yeah, you get wonderful food. You get an abundance of food. And like I said, I'm a volume eater. And knowing that I can eat a high volume of the right food, there are times that I get full and I don't finish, and that's something that's never happened either.
That's so great, Lucy. I can't wait to see your continued progress, and hopefully she'll stay up to date with us along her journey.
Absolutely.
Especially with pictures of that Alaskan cruise. Do you mind sharing some of your favorite plant-based influencers and resources?
Yes, Chef AJ was one of the first ones that I learned about, and I love her. I have all her cookbooks, watch her videos. Of course, you, and one of the things that impressed me and made me want to sign up with you is you were very vocal about the science behind this, and I think that was important, knowing that it's not just eat this because I said so, it's eat this because here's the science behind it. Dr. Neil Barnard, he wrote a book about plant-based eating and the brain, preventing strokes. So that was very important to me. Dr. Greger, Neil Furman, Dr. Furman, and he talks a lot about the nutrients in plant-based eating. And gosh, Dr. Colin Campbell, the China study, that just spoke volumes to me. And seeing that the people in countries where there's a low cancer rate, heart disease, how they eat is, due to that miracle, and just that they're eating healthy, and so they don't have the issues that Western American diet has. And so, gosh, there's a lot, but those are the ones that come to mind right off the top.
I'm so honored to be a part of this journey with you. I feel so privileged that you picked me out of all of these options. So I just want to thank you so much for allowing me to assist you along your way, to help guide you, because you've been an excellent student.
Oh, well, thank you.
All right, Lucy, I think I have taken up very, very much of your day, so I apologize for that. But let's wish Lucy good luck on her journey, and we'll catch up with her soon.
Thank you.